these Silicon Valley VCs are a leech on the space. They'll come in, like these venture capitalists will come in, they'll fund a project, they'll connect them, they'll get the hype going. That the price of the token will absolutely be slaughtered.
Yeah. I don't know. I was gonna say it's funny. Because typically what happens is I've talked to guys who are like, they're like, yeah, it's funny because like if you steal this much money from, you can steal a little bit of money from a lot of people and not really get hit. But if you steal a lot of money from a few people, well, then they come in strong and they'll look into it. But I mean, I wonder if it's because it's speculation that they feel like these people aren't losing that much money. But some people are, like you said, refinancing their house. They're dumping $60,000, $80,000, $100,000, $200,000 into some coin. Then it takes a dump, and the next thing you know, they're trying to get 20 grand back.
One of the most recent ones, I think, was Ice Poseidon, who was an IRL. He was an IRL streamer. So this guy had 700,000 subs on YouTube. I watched him as a kid. Same thing. Launches a token. He promises all this stuff. He's like, I'm going to do this and this. They call it a roadmap. Okay. Right. That is the glorious white paper of what they're going to provide for that token. Launches the roadmap. Of course, 2 weeks into it, the kid's probably the laziest kid you'll ever meet in your life, and he just stops working on the project. Right?
He literally said this. He got him on camera saying, hey, I'm bored of it. So there's this thing called liquidity, right? So you can provide liquidity essentially so people can buy and sell this token at a steady price, basically.
Yeah. So it'd be like in prison, it'd be like the macros. Like you have that. There's only so much. We're trying to relate this as
right.
Macros.
Macros.
So
like
macros.
Fish. They're fish.
It's
fish.
macros. Fish.
Yeah. So
mackerels,
it's a
fish.
Oh wow. Okay,
you could
that
eat
makes
the mackerel.
So okay.
Or it could be tuna. So whatever.
It would be like someone just brought that and they like provided that. So that's how much is in.
So it's a big bowl of mackerels.
So there's a big bowl of mackerels.
Yeah.
That's the only
worth $500,000.
Okay. So they can always get that.
Yeah. So there's always something.
He's the only person that has access.
Exactly.
To that, right?
Oh, okay.
So continue.
So at least you get something.
Yeah. So but it's for the community to be able to buy and sell this token, and so it's not a dead project. But when you remove that liquidity, you remove the mackerels. It's called pulling the rug from under someone, and so the term is known as a rug pull, where you leave the project for dead, delete everything, and take the liquidity. And so he takes this liquidity, and everyone is basically screwed. You can't sell it like for anything. It's basically gone. $500,000 worth, and so this guy named CoffeeZilla, we were in an article together. He's got a really good YouTube channel. Shout out CoffeeZilla. He exposes these people. So he gets him on a phone call, and he's like, you probably remember it better than I do.
Yeah, so he gets this guy on the phone call, and he's like, what are you going to do about this? He's like, and all he wants is the guy to admit it's a scam. He's like, you scammed your audience. You had, 2,000-3,000 of your followers believe in you and put in tens of thousands of dollars. And I mean, probably actually millions at that point, because there's about 300,000 locked up in this bowl. So the guy just would refuse to say it. And at the end of it, he gets him the quote. He's like, so are you going to give them back the money? Because he has the money too. He could just give it back and then just be like, okay, we're going to close the project. Nothing wrong with that, right? He goes, I'm going to look out for myself. So he took 95% of that cash, which is roughly $300,000. And then he's like, he left like 30,000. He's like, well, whoever wants to go sell and get that 30,000, they can have that. So he took 95% of their positions, and he literally just said live on camera with this guy he's honestly the only investigator pretty much in the space. So you don't have
Zach XPT is pretty
Zach
good
is well on Twitter, but very few people. But he got him publicly to say, he's like, no, I'm going to look out for myself. I'm going to take this money. And
nothing ever happened.
No.
Nothing happened.
Nothing will happen, I don't think. The SEC will make examples of a few people. I don't want to name
They're
names.
going to have to be big fish, though.
But they got to be big.
There's just tons of them out there.
Many.
So
Well,
it's how do you go after that many people?
The problem is, number one, crypto, there's a lot of anonymous people. The biggest scammers are the ones you'll never hear about. Like on Twitter, you'll see threads of people stealing tens of millions, and very rarely do they get exposed. With the Squiggles stuff, that was recent. A serial ring of scammers. But a lot of people are anonymous. The government does not understand how crypto works or the blockchain works at all. So I don't think they're going to get around to that anytime soon. And there's just so many of them. It's like, who do you go after first? Right.
Right.
And people are like, oh, they won't come after me. I only have this many followers. I only took this much money. But I hope that they do make examples of people for this, because it cannot go on and crypto be taken seriously. it's that bad.
And it rubs back into what we're doing at Kryptonite. That's you see us with Chris and Sam with Florida Blockchain Association. This is we are there with the influencers on the front line. We're watching every single person that does it. So the end goal is to build like an actual crypto entity where it's like, we're not going to work with these people. And hopefully there's going to be a sense of professionalism and a line that, this will die out. Because right now it is like, again, just the Wild West. There's nothing stopping it.
Hi, my name is Juan Sanchez, and you know me from Matthew Cox podcast. I'm reaching out to you right now so you can go to his Patreon account and sponsor one of his 3 tiers he has. The first tier will give you a thank you text from him. The second tier will give you access to all of his videos, including the ones that I'm in, full length. The third tier includes all of that, plus one of these wonderful collectible paintings. Listen, I know there is hungry children in Africa. I know there is people starving in South America. But we need to help Matthew Cox, his cause. Please support him, go to Patreon, and help him help me help you.
Well, you know what credit card forums are, right? Credit card forums are these. Mostly they were run by like Russian cyber criminals, and they would set up a forum where you could buy and sell credit card information. And even when initially when it happened, when they would catch the guys, they give them slaps on the hand. Like they'd catch a couple guys doing counterfeiting or the credit cards or stealing like the first hackers that got prosecuted. It was only a couple years here, a couple years here. Now when they get them, because they didn't really understand how bad it was and how much of a problem it was. But now if you're a hacker and you get grabbed, and they're giving them, 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. I mean, it's out. The sentences are just massive now compared to less money than before. Like the guys who were stealing, were getting, $100 million, were getting a couple years. And now the guys that are getting, $10 million are getting 20 years because they just start, once they get into it and they figure out the damage that's being caused, then the Department of Justice just goes nuts. And every time they get a hold of, they just throw away the key.
I'm honestly I wish we could fast forward. I mean, I'm going to love these next 5 years, but I think it's going to be it's going to be crazy with how many people we know that there's going to have to be a handful that at least get picked off that are made an example. Because we know so many. I mean, almost.
It's a very small space. Like in
everybody
crypto,
knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody.
Or you're one person from knowing.
Yeah. Like even at the people at the top, I've had public beefs with people who I thought were less than stellar, and they have millions of followers. So it's not a very huge space in terms of who is actually in here doing stuff. And also it's the same couple venture capitalists that are churning out some of the same vaporware. So, I mean, I think the next 5 to 10 years is when we'll see a lot of the hammers start to fall. And that's where we want to kind of take advantage and be like, hey guys, screw those guys, right? This is legit. This is where we want to help educate people. This is what we're doing, and here's how we're doing it.
Yeah, we've been saying this for 2 years now or 3 years. I've been saying this is what's going to happen, and then you get to sit there and watch it happen. Yeah, you can usually see when somebody's on the wrong track, and I can't tell you how many people met me and said, "You're going to prison, bro, for sure." I was like, "You're crazy." Then 5 years later, 26 years. So I was like,
26?
You were right, bro.
Was it 26
you were
or
right.
13?
No, I did 13. There's gain time. I got my sentence cut twice.
Okay.
Oh, bro, listen, I wasn't taking it. Still 13. 13's
federal
honestly,
or state?
Federal. I don't do state
man.
crimes.
Yeah. only federal. You heard it here first.
He's a big player, okay?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I met her in the halfway house.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what,
it worked out. It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Huh?
A 13-year learning experience. It was meant.
Yeah, the 13 sounds bad, but honestly, the first 10 years is the hardest. The last 3 years was no problem.
Home stretch.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
Home stretch.
Yeah.
Walk in the park.
I mean, I think we're gonna see a lot of Jordan Belfort types kind of go to prison for some of the shit that's going on.
But he got nothing. I'm saying because when it first starts happening, he did a couple years. Now, if that happens, these guys are getting 30 years. Belfort did over 100 million in loss. Now, if you do 100 million in loss, you're getting 20 to 30 years. So that's what I'm saying is when it first starts happening, they they don't really know what to do. But then when they realize, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? That was a ton of money. He did know. He should have known.
Yeah.
Look, if nothing else, even if you're not licensed, that's another enhancement, by the way, if you're licensed. If you're licensed and you did something wrong, you get an enhancement. Why? Because you knew better. But the truth is, if you're asking people in any way for money, in any way, you have a fiduciary responsibility to those people. And a lot of people say, oh, it's unregulated. So that doesn't mean that you don't have some responsibility. You just ask someone for some money. Like you have, and you know, even if you didn't say it, even if you're clever about saying it. And I know guys that were clever, like you can't believe clever, that could convince you you're going to make a ton of money, and they didn't say a fucking thing wrong. I'll give you an example right now. Vending machines. So if you buy a vending machine, this was this guy's pitch. His name was Andrew Levinson. He was amazing. Andrew Levinson stole, was it $30 or $40 million selling Red Bull vending machines? So really nice guy. Anyway, degenerate gambler, but still, whatever, good guy. So what he would do is his pitch was, so you would say, hey, I want to buy one of the vending machines, and you'd say, okay, great. Well, obviously, you know where you can put one here, you can put one there, no big deal. Okay, fine. And you go, no, I know, I could put one in my kid's school, right? You can't. You know, I could put one in the local 7-Eleven, because I see him there. You can't. You know, like he knows all those spaces. He knows that you're going to have a hard time finding a place. But let's say you find a place, right? Okay, so you say, yeah, he's, oh yeah, you'll find a place. It's easy. Not. You find a place. So how many cans an hour do you think that machine makes? And you go, or will sell. And you say, every hour? Yeah. And you go, at least 10. And no, well, your number's 10. Let's cut that in half. Let's say 5. So 5 cans. So how many hours a day is that thing going to sell? Well, I mean, the store doesn't have to be open 24 hours. Well, let's cut that in half. Let's say 12. Okay, because people aren't going to be up at 2 a.m. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we got 5, 12, so 60 cans a day. So you're making $60, you know, a day because you make $1 profit, whatever. So you start adding it up, and then they go, okay, wow. So I'm going to make a profit of, let's say, $500 a month. And you go, okay, well, that's your calculation. Like you came up with those numbers. And do you want to buy this machine for $3,000? You'll get, you know, at that, if it is 500, which is your numbers, will you make all your money back? Of course, I'll make all my money back within 8 months, 7, 8 months. So you go, wow, that's great. But the truth is, so you gave him all the numbers, right? You gave me the numbers. But the truth is, he already knows that the average vending machine only sells 1 can every 4 hours. But you, right now in that scenario, you've convinced yourself he didn't have to do a fucking thing.
That's literally exactly what happens.
3 years of a ROI. That's if they find spots. I know a couple people that do vending machines and like that, but they actually,
if they find a spot,
they have spots, and they tell me they're like, it's so competitive.
Yeah, Mahmood fills up the soda machines. We have a friend named Mahmood. He has he works at this hotel on the weekends and fills up the soda machines. Yeah, he knows that more better than anybody else. You know?
Even if it's every 2 hours. I mean, the point, you know, listen, and that's at a good spot. You got a good spot, maybe it's every 2 hours. If you got a great spot, maybe it's 3 an hour. You know, the point is most people don't have good spots.
Yeah.
But listen, Andrew Levinson, when Andrew Levinson talked to you, I'm telling you, I wanted to invest in vending machines. He was amazing. You know? He was amazing. But I sold myself. He just asked me some questions. But he's so good. Like some of these guys are so good at it.
It's like when someone will make a connection that isn't there. They'll say, "Hey, this cryptocurrency is tied to this." You know, the federal. So XRP is the most controversial cryptocurrency because it has the most conspiracy theory, and they're selling people a dream. They go, "Hey, look, the Rothschild family owns 8% of XRP."
Like Rockefeller. They try to tie that stuff.
Yeah. But in reality, it's like, oh, technically the Rothschilds, you know, they own 8% of a company that has like a small percentage of like the founding company that owns XRP.
Yeah, there's virtually almost no connection.
3 bridges.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's on every road, you know, attaches to each other if you think about it, you know, but that's what they do.
They have these people convinced that the federal government will buy back their XRP at a price of $10,000 per XRP. To give you reference, it's like 50 cents, 60 cents.
I think, so this is actually kind of relating back to how we met. So when I first started on TikTok, this XRP thing was like what it fueled me. I'd be angry because you'd see like million viewed videos with people saying, "Oh, this is going to go to $500, $589." Let me get
the magic number.
This number came from a Simpsons episode. That is what these people are relating
Nice.
an investment to. So it's like, you know,
And he was a big XRP guy, but he wasn't crazy.
Huge.
About it. He was realistic.
I study like your monetary policies and just I knew how the money moved. So I was like, even if they were to get every single ounce of like you went and shook out every single cushion from couches in all the most, you know, impoverished nations in the world, everywhere, there still isn't enough money to make that, you know, to make up for a $10,000 or, you know, whatever they want it to believe it to be.
To pay it out.
That doesn't make sense. So people are pitching, you know, to their audience. They have 200-300 couple million followers that, you know, the Federal Reserve is going to sign. They love relating this back to gold in the 1930s when Roosevelt took
XRP.
gold from everybody.
They're gonna flip the switch.
And then they sold it for $20, and then the government turned around and was like, oh, well, we're going to it's $35. So they take that theory that's going to happen again in today's, where we're at, because there's going to be a great reset, and they love to say. And they're going to just announce it to be $10,000. So now, and what I have the problem with that's just maybe there's a multiverse where that exists and something were to happen. But what you're telling, you know, your million followers and these investors, they're like I said, I've had people call me and they're refinancing their homes. They're, you know, putting in their kids' college tuition, and this thing's volatile. It's dropping 70%.
You know what's funny about the guy Levinson? You know what he told me? He said one of the ways he sold people, if you were even started to question, like, I don't know, I'm not sure which area, because he sold areas also. Like, I'll only sell to you in this area. I'm not sure that this area. Oh no, well that area you can't buy that one. That one's already sold. What? Yeah, that's sold. Like, no, but that's the area I wanted. Yeah, it's sold. Okay, we've only got out of the 6 areas, there's only these 2 left. So it's these 2, and we're talking to somebody right now about this one. But yeah, haven't sent the money yet. Yeah, we sent him the contract, but we haven't got it back yet. So wait a minute. He told me he goes, people are more afraid to lose out on an opportunity than they are at losing their money. They would rather lose their money than lose out on an opportunity. If they still have their money but they're lost it, they feel bad. They feel worse keeping their money and having lost out on the opportunity. Like, I was like, are you fucking? He said, it's just psychology. You just have to take it away from them.
And that's exactly what they call it, the flip of the switch. Well, you're going to miss out on the flip of the switch when the monetary policy reverses and everything goes into this new world order, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they're getting into. And I mean, it's wild. It is wild how many people are putting just money, just all of it.
I have buddies,
you know?
I have guys all the time that hit me up and they're like, bro, if I'd only invested in this, if I'd only done this, if I'd had this, like literally they're calculating every other day how much money they would make had they invested 2 years ago in this. It's like, what are you doing, bro?
You're beating yourself over the head for nothing.
And I do want to clarify, because I know that like the company itself, like they meet quarterly earnings. They're actually like, it's called Ripple, and then they use XRP for cross-border transactions for just international payments. They're actually doing really well. But me, I'm realistic. So I look at a $5, $10, you know, maybe 5X's, 10X's.
I think it's going to 0,
you know,
personally.
He has his beliefs, and that's what makes us great business partners, you know. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's just one of those, it's a, I don't know what the word is, but like a false, not ideology, but
it's like a cult.
It's just a fake salesman.
Hey, speaking of cults, you know who you should bring on here in about, I don't know, 15 years when his sentence is up? Okay, joking. No, there's a guy named Richard Hart. If you want to talk like, you know, I'm not
psychology.
Psychology. Let's talk psychology.
Not brainwashing. I mean, brainwashing is psychology.
So his psychology is insane. He is one of the most well-spoken individuals I've ever seen, and he basically, what he's done, right, is he's created this thing called Hex. And essentially what he's doing with Hex is it's a certificate of deposit, right? So you buy some Hex, you stake it, you know, you lock it up for a period of time, and then it unlocks, you know, after a certain amount, right? And so the way, in my opinion, this is not, you know, this is just my opinion. It's not anything like, I'm not saying this definitively, but in my opinion, how I think it works is that when the Hex unlocks, right, the people who are now getting into Hex buy that up, so there's liquidity for the people before to exit that.
Like a Ponzi scheme.
Well, I'm not saying
we can't say
that. I'm not saying it is.
You know,
but I'm saying it's
our
very
personal
interesting.
opinion. Yeah, I mean, you do have to have someone come in and buy underneath you.
Or maybe a multi-level marketing.
But it's gone up. It's gone up a lot. It's
you know,
worth probably like, what, $1 billion?
50, 60 billion, I think.
Well,
right?
the numbers are inflated. I don't really know, because they don't actually show this on any of the mainstream websites because they don't believe that it should be listed there. Let's just say that. But there's a whole community who is just dedicated to Hex, and they think it's like the next best thing. There's actually,
It's a very interesting space.
Yeah, Richard Hart, he's gonna be your guy.
You just watch a video, you'll understand.
I like how
It's very
conservative
well spoken.
He's much more conservative. It's an interesting space.
It's he's very, very well spoken though. The guy's, you'll understand as soon as you just watch him speak. No one can, you can't debate him.
No,
you can't debate him.
You can't win. No, but it reminds me.
I was just our thing is like every time we have an argument, it's hard to win with me in an argument. I'm like, that's because on my drive to get to the argument, I've had it in my head. I've had the argument about 40 times. So every single thing you're about to say, I have a rebuttal already for. So you might as well just accept the fact I'm going to win. Can we now go to dinner? I'm going to win the argument.
Yeah, Richard Hart, he's got this, he emanates his wealth, right? So he's actually quite rich off of certain things. And, he has like a bunch of chains, his Rolex collection in the background.
Louis Vuitton vest.
Pretty sure he has his previous company around, he wears that old symbol around his neck as just like a FU.
He's good homework. That's
he's good homework. For you to look into later. But, but they always attack me because I call it, what it is, in my opinion. And it's interesting. And even after the Konkrete podcast, they were all over when I met, because I had a brief segment about that with Danny, and they were all over on Twitter about that. But they got a huge community. They call themselves Hexicans.
Yeah, he'll have Hexicans and the XRP army in here.
Oh yeah, you got the two most toxic spaces about to come down, and hey, good engagement. You know what I'm saying?
Controversy sells.
Controversy sells. That's I like to stir the pot.
I understand. I understand.
It's fun.
Yeah.
What are we doing? You want to wrap it up? What do you want to do? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Can you think of, or?
Well, we don't want to get too technical because it's like
I'm already confused. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, we can go technical
confused.
for.
Yeah, we can sit here and talk about like the ethics of.
How about? Is there anything you would like to anybody just want to? You think would. Just
you have any general questions?
I mean, you're brand new to space.
Look, unfortunately, my general question, if I were to ask the question, my whole thought process is like, how do these guys? What's the question? Ask the question.
No, I just
ask.
About this entire interview. He's got me so excited.
Yeah, he was already just before we even got here.
I was watching them a few days ago. Isn't XRP can't trade it now?
Oh yeah.
So they're in the middle of a lawsuit
with the SEC.
So this is XRP.
Yes.
Can't be traded.
So this would actually be great. So Ripple was the company kind of behind the development of XRP, the token, right? So they're being sued right now by the SEC for selling it as an unregistered security. That is the whole lawsuit. So the investors, and this was from 2012. So now the investors that are in XRP, there's this huge backlash in the community as the SEC waited 8 years, 10 years to file this lawsuit.
Yeah.
So, on the SEC side, it is kind of burnt, like for the amount of time it took to actually come here. Now there's all these investors, but.
Well, realistically, I have to agree with Josh. I don't think that it should be classified as a security. The only issue is that they had it trading as Ripple, not XRP. So people were confused in 2017.
That's a huge issue with
it.
So
it was the way they
XRP
presented it.
and Ripple are not the same. Even though the holders of XRP, they created it to use it in the product that Ripple has.
Yeah, there's a company in the network.
They use it to transact for cross-border payments. It's instant. You don't have to use Swift. Swift takes 7 days sometimes to send a US dollar to a euro. There's a lot of money involved in that. So they created this. So now the influencers and all these XRP holders, it's funny because they always go, it's separate than Ripple, but then they rely on everything that Ripple does and the success of XRP. And that is where that controversy comes in. So the SEC is now in there trying to figure out, there's a lot of gray area. And this has taken now over a year. And it's probably going to go all the way through 2022. But there numerous lawyers, your judges have just now switched to a more prominent judge.
Well, keep in mind, they've also, Ripple has been selling XRP on the open market for years. They've basically been using...
They own half the supply.
They've been using their investors as exit liquidity the entire time to fund their company, basically. And this is something we see several projects that I have criticisms of do. Not every project has to have money. They always have to raise money, to get started. And there's team tokens and to help marketing and stuff. I can understand that, but half the supply is utterly insane, I have also gripes with, other projects that do similar things, but XRP is the best example of that. So I don't know. I think for the space in general, it'd be nice if they won, but I don't necessarily, even if they win, I don't think it's going to be crazy. I think that,
Yeah, so like for what they're trying to do, I mean, they're sitting. Are you familiar with like the International Standardized Organization? That's going to be I'm going to keep this very simple. This is just for your global banks. There's an organization that creates the financial messaging systems for them to communicate. Okay. That is all it is. Okay, so they sit on the board of that. There's like 30 banks that all are on that, and they all help develop these codes so that way we can advance and just you have to track all that messaging. Yeah. So like for them, I do like their company, they're killing it. Their quarterly earnings, like if you're trading stocks, their company is all that. Every quarterly earning is positive. They're more growth, more use, etc. And then XRP is used in some of their products. So again, I do think it's going to it would be great if they won because that'd bring a lot of clarity to the rest of crypto. And like we've had this whole conversation today, we need.
I mean, there's a lot riding on Ripple right now. Even if I don't like them, I still hope they win because it sets the precedent, right? We're at a very key, crucial moment in the space where we're either going to see innovation continue to flourish, we're going to see some really nice technology kind of develop over the next couple of years, or they'll crush the space with a hammer and it'll move to Europe like it's already doing.
Yeah. So it's just probably it's the most important lawsuit I'd say right now in crypto.
Yeah, I still root for them, even though it's like fuck Ripple.
And it's going to give us those yes and nos. Yes, you can't take money from a bunch of investors, then fund your company and dump it on your investors.
Yeah,
that would be the same. That would be the explanation of what's going on. Now there's a lot more technicals. We would love to get into that.
That's a very high level.
That's a very high level conversation, but it's going to be that's going to be the number one lawsuit that's just in crypto right now, kind of leading the way to set precedents on what's going to be right and wrong. Right. Because, oh my goodness, I would love to see some of these influencers just get wrecked.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Like they just need,
they need a big
what you
slice
listed
of
off for jail time. I mean, we've seriously seen, and some of these people are friends to be doing it. Now they're taking a couple $1 million. Like, oh, we're just gonna let that project die out. We made the money. The community got what they wanted.
I know a guy who, I mean, I'm not one guy. I've known multiple guys, but I know a guy who would go out and pitch investors he would have a company. So he put together a prospectus on the company and it looks pretty solid, but the truth is he knows that it's probably going to go under, but he pitches it like you can't believe it. And he would raise like $5 million. He'd keep $1 million. They'd put $4 million into the company and then it'd go under. He knew it was he was like, listen, I would always tell everybody, look, 9 out of 10 of these things go under, but if I had to bet on one, this is the one that I would say would succeed.
Oh my God! If I've not heard the very sentence that you just said every time,
because we get pitched.
Even I say that. With these projects, I still make money and trade them, but I'm like, I'm not holding your shit. It's gonna fucking die off in 6 months.
When we ask our number one question is, what's your use case? And
exactly.
Like, well, we want to be at this point in 2 years, and we're going to be better than them because we have this and this. We have my favorite line is, we have Silicon Valley investors. We have people from Silicon Valley on the team. Dude, some of these guys, we literally caught them red-handed. They work at they'll be like, I worked for Apple in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, he was an associate.
He worked at the store. He was the associate, handing you your phone, selling your phone.
Nice.
And these are the pitches they go at you.
These Silicon Valley VCs are a leech on the space. They'll come in, like these venture capitalists will come in, they'll fund a project, they'll connect them, they'll get the hype going. The price of the token will absolutely be slaughtered. If there's 10 VCs in a crypto project, any more than like 5 or 6, I get really suspicious because they will instantly sell those tokens. They'll get their tokens at a reduced price in the pre-sale, right? Nothing fine with having a pre-sale if you have a decent vesting schedule and strong tokenomics, but they don't. And so what they'll do is they'll hype it up. The price will go up 20, 30x, and they will literally sell every cent that they're able to sell and just rake it in.
They do it right in front of you. They'll because it's pay to play on Twitter.
It is.
You can just pay for promotion. So they'll just come in and build an entire web page that's like terrible,
yeah.
And then they'll build an audience for it and say this is gonna be the next biggest project, and then they just dump, and then that project, like you said, it just fizzles out.
Listen, it's a great scam. I mean, I understand from the point of view of the actual consumer. Yeah, it sucks, or the investor that's investing in. It sucks, but I mean, it's a good scam. Like you said, especially since maybe not so much now because they probably are going to slowly start cracking people in the head, but still, for every one person you catch, there's 50 or 60.
I mean, and and there'll be 50 or 60 that come up afterwards still.
Yeah.
And they just, the amount of people we've been pitched to, and it's not even just like the venture capitals. It's even like you said, like guy that would sell you on a dream.
Yeah.
It's like, if I had to bet out of 9 to 10 projects, this is the one. Because seriously, 10 projects doing the same exact thing will come to us.
Yeah.
Same exact project. Like we're gonna take. So how are you gonna get there? And I don't think we've seen one actually besides Dreams Quest. Sadly, that was.
Yeah.
Oh, they're amazing. But
I partnered with a company in this space called DAOmaker to do a launch pad to help these early stage projects, like basically incubating them, and we turn away so much crap. And we've even like rejected projects that we've worked with because even if they have great products, the team is just there for a quick buck. So like I have like this firsthand experience with these shitheads who are literally just here to use the space and fuck everyone else over. And it's frustrating because there's a lot of people who are actually trying to get funding who are doing really cool stuff. And so that's one of the things I've been trying to do to kind of grow the legitimacy of the space. And we're specifically on the BSC, the Binance Smart Chain, because that space, the Binance Smart Chain was where all the shitcoins was. It was cheap transaction fees and a secure network. Well, secure, so more secure than most things. And compared to Ethereum, it's like, but
And all this stuff is happening in the space. But I would say, like, especially for anybody watching, and even you as an individual, there's so much opportunity. Even from us, developing we have 4 business models now based off of it. And there's a lot of utility behind artists coming to space with NFTs and even launching your own crypto project. I think anybody coming to the space, if you're
as much shit as we talk it's still the best place to be.
Because it's just, those are the people we're trying to find. And that is the point of our podcast we're launching. We're trying to find the projects that they're the next Facebook. They're the next, Amazon. They're going to be here. We got to filter them out. It's just like the .com bubble. You saw how many, even some of your biggest billionaires like Mark Cuban got rich because of the .com bubble. They sold companies that are completely gone. They went under after the crash, Yeah. And it's the same thing that's happening now, so.
Okay. Wait, hold on. All right, see you.